Thank you, Kenneth. I'd like to vouch for what Kenny said about Coach Brady. John and I have known each other since the early 80s when I was at KPLC in Lake Charles, and John was a high school basketball coach at Crowley. I can tell that now John's not coaching anymore because now he starts to like the media again. So he's on a few TV shows. He's actually in a great demeanor most of the time. And John did a phenomenal job at LSU to coach the Tigers to the 2006 Final Four and won a lot of games there. And I think it's interesting with different coaches, when you get out a little ways after they're gone and you put into kind of a historical perspective what they've done. John did a whale of a job at LSU and should always be remembered for that. Congratulations on a great job, John. It's also good to see my friend John Sirio, the czar here. Always good to be around him, a super huge Tulane fan. I know I can call him and we can talk Tulane football for hours at a time. John, next summer, my wife and I are going to St. Petersburg, Russia. So any of your old relatives there, if we need to check in with them, just give me their addresses and I'll be happy to check in with them for you. I was here to talk about the Saints. Thanks, Kenny. Really appreciate that. I woke up this morning and I didn't realize that the football season was over. I had no idea. I woke up, I was like, wow, here it is. It's Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday morning and the whole thing's over. The next 15 games, just playing out the string. I had no idea. Frankly, I got to be honest with you, there was a lot of people who were picking the Saints to win this game against Minnesota. I didn't think it was going to happen. Here's why. Number one, you've got a team that doesn't rush the passer well, playing on the road against a quarterback who last year completed 71.6% of his passes. Sam Bradford is tremendously accurate, especially if you give him time. He's been bounced around the league a little bit, but that's turning out to be a very good trade and an eye-opener when the Vikings sent the number one to Philadelphia for Bradford. He can put the ball on a dime, and you saw that last night against an inexperienced Saints secondary. Number two, the Vikings are a good team defensively. And I thought the Saints had the right game plan last night. And that is, with the crowd noise on the road, be a little conservative, not make too many mistakes, and try to hold on to the football a while. And they were doing that early. If you look at the first drive, the holding penalty against Andrus Peat was huge. They would have had the ball first and goal on the 5-yard line. So I know even though the season is over now, they were only 1 of 5 in the red zone. If they had cashed a few of those, Coach Fritz can tell you, Coach Powell can tell you, if you can cash a few of those, you've got a real good chance. Minnesota had a good plan. Their route combinations took advantage of the Saints' inexperienced corners. They had Devontae Harris out there, and look, Marshawn Lattimore is going to be a really good player, but that was his first game on the road in the National Football League on a Monday night against a really good quarterback. It was a tough spot to be in for him. I thought one of the things that happened too in the running game maybe is that Minnesota got to the second level a little too easily against the Saints. That's going to be problematic going forward, but I think the Saints can do a better job there. Now, there was a lot of discussion in the game about how unhappy Adrian Peterson should be. I think the most unhappy person in New Orleans today should be Mark Ingram. Last year, Mark Ingram had a terrific season. I question why the Saints did what they did to trade up to get Mark Ingram, but I think he's proven a lot of us wrong, including me. The guy's a very good running back. He averaged 5.1 yards a carry in the National Football League last year, and he had 10 touchdowns. Last night, he had 11 touches. So I know everybody's fixated on what Adrian Peterson was doing, but to me, the guy who I think got the short end of the stick last night was Mark Ingram. One other thing about the perspective of what happened and what is going to happen over the next few weeks. I think the NFL, when they made the schedule, did the New Orleans Saints a huge disservice. And I think it's ridiculous. And I hope the Saints have expressed themselves to the league about how poorly they were treated in the first 4 weeks of the season. I know you've got to play the schedule. I get it. Wherever they are, you've got to show up. sooner or later you're going to have to play the AFC East. The schedule kind of makes itself, okay, based on the formula. But the league makes the schedule. And to have Minnesota on the road on a Monday night, to come back and have to play New England on Sunday, then go to Carolina, which is always an incredibly physical game, and then go across the ocean to London, which frankly I don't understand. I think it's an asinine concept, to be honest with you. To go to London and play. For the first 4 games, I think it's a really difficult thing for a team to do. And it's a really difficult schedule, and I really think it was a disservice done to the Saints. But, you know what? It's here. They've got to move on. One thing I can tell you I think with pretty good certainty is that this Sunday, if you're a gambling man, bet the over, okay? Because I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in the Superdome when the Patriots play the Saints. And I think you'll see a better Saints team this week. So I know it's Tuesday, September 12th. I know the season's over, according to many people I talked to this morning, but I guarantee you, I think there's going to be football played. A couple of things. I'd like to commend all the folks here. Ronnie does a great job with the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Kenny with the Quarterback Club. Congratulations to the scholar athletes at Rummel. He and I were neither scholars or athletes. I don't know exactly what we were. I guess we were students. Coach Powell has done an unbelievable job at Landry Walker building their program. And finally, Coach Fritz, who is doing an outstanding job with the Tulane football program. If you go to practice, you watch how those guys work every day, how hard their coaches work, how hard their staff works, and their level of talent is improving. And I would say to anyone who is, if their child is considering college football and wants to play on a high level, that they consider playing for Coach Fritz, because not only is he an outstanding coach, but he's an outstanding person. And the players, you can't BS them, okay? You can't BS players. They understand, and they respect him. You can tell, okay? And I think it's only a matter of time before, and not a long time, a short time, before he makes big things happen at Tulane University. With that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Hey, I thought a big problem that the Saints had is when Zach Streif went out. And with, you were talking about Bradford being accurate. I mean, Drew Brees is known to be accurate, but after he went out, it looked like he was just kind of running for his life, and he wasn't as accurate on his passes. So,
well, I mean, the pass rush is going to affect the quarterback, all right? And Bradford's, if you notice, Minnesota retold their entire offensive line. And look, the Saints have done a lot of that, but they got hit by the injury bug. You know, Armstead wasn't out there last night. It would have been a different game if he was playing, all right? Ramczyk was a guy who was drafted this year to be a future, okay? Not to be on the field at left tackle in his first game in the National Football League as a starter on Monday night. They went out and got Larry Warford too. So they tried to upgrade their offensive line. That's why what I'm saying, Bobby, is I thought it was a tough matchup. You know, I talked to a lot of people at work who have one black eyeball and one gold, okay? And they were all telling me that it was going to be a 30-point game last night. And I frankly, you know, whatever pharmacy they were at, I wanted to go get some of that prescription because whatever they were taking was really good.
So what's the status of the streak? Do you know?
Well, I think it's been reported that he's got an MCL sprain. So he's going to be out a few weeks. But if you go back and look at last year, all the runs that the Saints did last year, their most yards last year running to one spot was over the right tackle spot. So Zach Streif had a very good year. And again, he was supposed to be the guy at right tackle. Ramczyk was supposed to learn from him and be his replacement at some point, either next year or the year after. That's not how it's going. Yes, Charlie, hold on, let me get the mic over here for the webcast.
I don't need it.
Hustle, Randy, if that's possible. Hustle, Randy.
Ed, my question is, it seems like Coach Payton denied there was any type of confrontation between
Right.
Baker and Peterson, and I haven't had a chance to check my inside people, but you got any comment on that?
Well, I mean, I just saw the look. It didn't look all that appetizing, did it? No, and look, I know there'll be a lot of people second guessing why they signed Adrian Peterson, and you know what? I can understand that. Because in my opinion, that was an area where they did not need a lot of help. And it's amazing, they're showing this clip again of Peyton and Adrian Peterson. Again, Charlie, my deal is Mark Ingram should get the football more.
Absolutely.
And he's a really good football player. And he's good in the screen game. He's improved tremendously, dramatically as a receiver. And I think he's a guy who can stay on the field as an every down back. And I'd like to see him get it more. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Ed, you mentioned you didn't realize the season was over. While watching the game, I'm not sure the Saints realized it's begun. Receivers running wide open to the secondary. My question is, Saints haven't been over 500 since 2013.
Yes.
How much longer is this going to go until changes are talked about or made?
Not much, to be honest with you. I think everyone knows that they still have a ways to go this year. But if there's not a dramatic improvement, then I think you're going to see significant change. I think that's pretty much understood. But the only thing I'm telling you is that I know what you saw last night. There's no sugarcoating that, all right? But like I said before, I didn't think that was an easy matchup against Minnesota. A lot of people kind of thought, well, that's one you can win. But on the road on a Monday night in the NFL, not the easiest opener. It would have been a lot better to play the Jets at home yesterday, but that didn't happen. Even the Bills won on Sunday. How about that? Anybody else? Yes, sir, Randy.
Talk about that famous TV show on Friday Night Football.
Friday Night Football. It's a good one. This is our 26th year, and I don't know how many more years I have left, but maybe a few more. But it's been a lot of fun, and we certainly enjoy, we love high school football. We think high school football in the state of Louisiana and southeastern Louisiana and Metro New Orleans is special. And the players are really good, and the game's coached at a very high level. So hopefully, Randy, we can do it for a long time. Anybody else? Thank you again for having me. Appreciate you. And congratulations to all the folks up here who do such great work.